What if I told you that for about under a decade, you could legally buy alcohol using your Nintendo DS? You just had to be in the United States, and you had to be in Seattle, and you could only be at one stadium in Seattle. So, I am, of course, talking about the Nintendo Fan Network, which was a digital application created by Nintendo in 2007 to complement the Seattle Mariners games at Safeco Field, which is now called T-Mobile Field. And as you have guessed, the Seattle Mariners are the home team. So Nintendo owner Hiroshi Yamushi, sorry if I butchered that, actually bought the Seattle Mariners out in 1992 as a thank you to the city of Seattle, and I believe just the state in general for being so kind with Nintendo's growing efforts. To pay them back, he spent like $150 million and he bought the Seattle Mariners. Nintendo actually owned the Seattle Mariners a little past Yamuchi's death, so from 1992 to 2016. It was at first a self-deleting app because it came out the same time the DS Lite came out, which did not have applications on it yet, as it did not have native internet access yet, because, that's the DSi. So it was at first a self-deleting app. Of course, that changed when the DSi came around, which allowed you to download and install apps. So the Nintendo Fan Network gave fans access to game statistics in real time, clips or replays, local messaging, so you can message other people in the stadium, games including trivia, a word search, and an MLB logo memory game, and then food and alcohol ordering, as I previously mentioned. So what that meant is it wasn't a full menu, but you could order a large amount of the food and a large amount of the alcohol through the Nintendo DS. Now, some people say that they thought this was kind of a silly feature at the time because you're in a big sports stadium, so it's like there's always food near you anyway. But even so, it's the novelty of it. It initially cost $5 per game or $30 for 10 games, but that was dropped in 2008 when it became free. So sorry to those people who paid in 2007. So it started with 2 download stations you could go to in order to download the app onto your DS, and then that initially expanded into 15 download stations by the time it closed out in 2016. The application was upgraded in 2009, adding ESPN News, closed captioning for PA announcements, and weather and traffic info. I guess to know if it's going to be slow when you leave the game or not, you have to leave the game either way. So Safeco Field and the Seattle Mariners both welcomed the inclusion of the Nintendo Fan Network pretty greatly. I mean, the Nintendo owner owned the Seattle Mariners, so that's fair. But the Seattle Mariners actually sold branded DS Lights at the time with the Mariners logo on it, and these are actually like really hard to find collectible items now, apparently, but for a period of time in the Seattle Mariners gift shop, you were actually able to buy like a custom Mariners DS Lite that you can only buy there. Something else to add about the Nintendo Fan Network is after the introduction of the DSi, the first 150 fans that would show up to a Mariners game and request a DSi would get one to rent for free during the course of the game. So that's pretty cool. I mean, pretty cool to go from paying $5 a game to use your DS to use this stuff to using their DS for free to use a free service that adds all this cool shit when you're there. So obviously the Nintendo Fan Network was kind of taken as gimmicky at the time and is a little gimmicky, and that's probably why there's no other videos on YouTube about it, but buying beer with a DS is an undeniably good title for a video. So the Nintendo Fan Network application is actually still available on the eShop to this day, it looks like. You just can't do anything with it. You open it and then it's just like you need to be in the field. And then if you open it and you go to the field, it still doesn't work because they don't have the Wi-Fi networks that they needed at the time to facilitate the Nintendo Fan Network because it was only local allowed. So I know this video is not going to be very long because it's just like one application that was barely used and is kind of like lost media at this point. I don't know. Kind of cool that you could order alcohol with the Nintendo DS though. Quick message from me, editing Josh. I lost my microphone and I have a sore throat, so I apologize ahead of time. So after the Nintendo Fan Network stopped working, so it looks like in the r/3ds privacy subreddit, the Nintendo Fan Network was actually used for a decent period of time as a piece of DSiWare software that you would download on your 3DS and able to sideload your own software and ROMs and all of that. The reason this worked like this was because you needed needed DSiWare application in order to be able to get through the security on the 3DS in order to be able to sideload on it, and it seems like the Nintendo Fan Network actually at the time was the best application to do this. So Nintendo Fan Network did live on a little bit after its death, I guess, in the r/3DS piracy community. Once again, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please like. I appreciate anyone that gives a shit and checks this out. I've been working on new stuff. Little spoiler, working on a 60 days in video. Haven't seen anyone else make one of those on YouTube. I've just finished the whole show. I want to at least talk about the first 2 seasons in it. I'm trying to record new music. It's something I haven't done in a while. I'm trying to get back in the habit of it. Just trying to do shit.